Hey everybody, what's up and welcome back, and look what we got, the new Vibe Shearwater 125. Yeah, so we're gonna do a quick overlook of this kayak. I just got it in, it just came. I spent a couple hours putting the things on it because you got to put a few things together on it, kind of going over it and seeing some things that I like and I don't like. So we're gonna dive right in. I'm gonna give you my first impressions of this kayak, and I'm very excited to get this kayak out on the water and see what it can do. So stay tuned because we're gonna dive right into this. Alright everybody, welcome back, and this is an awesome day, man. I've been waiting for this kayak for a long time. I know there's a lot of people that are still waiting for theirs, but I got mine today. I got it in the Galaxy Blue, which is probably my favorite color in the Vibe kayak that they make now. I have my Seaghosts, both my Seaghosts are in the camo blue, and I love those, but I love this Galaxy. It's an awesome color. The kayak looks amazing. It just got dropped off early this morning. I've been spending a couple hours trying to get odds and ends you got to put on there. So there's a few things you got to do when you get this kayak. I mean, you got to put the handles on, you've got to put the seat together, you got to put the rudder stuff together. If you want to hook up your pedals to control your rudder with your pedals, you got to get those hooked up, and you got to hook up your steering lever. And there's a little bit that goes into that, and I'm going to kind of touch base on it a little bit. I'm not going to get crazy into it, but I'm going to kind of go over what you got to do, and then I'm going to kind of tell you what I think about this kayak. So, you know, my first impressions when I saw it, it looks amazing. It looks phenomenal. It's really sweet looking. I think it's going to be awesome. It's 35 inches wide. I think it's 12 feet long, and it looks awesome. It's got great storage. I love the storage. I do have a VersaPod coming for it. That'll be right here. This is just the regular pod. It's got a storage tray here, so it's just got a lot going on. So I'm going to kind of turn the camera here and focus down right here on the nose, and we're going to kind of start right here. So right here, the first thing you guys got, and I'm going to get down in frame here. So you've got a little hatch right here that can get you in there. So if you guys are wiring electronics or whatever, I'm not wiring any electronics in mine, so I'm not going to worry about it. But then you got this cover, and if you pull this cover off, you got storage under here as well. You can put gear up there, and then you got a paddle park right there. So that's really cool, and that's always thing. I will probably never have anything under there. I doubt it, so I'm not too worried about it. So I like having a paddle park. So, but you can just take it off. You can have your dog ride up there if you want. I mean, it really is up to you. One thing I will say is that it's not that easy to get the little things hooked back on there once you take them off. So did you guys hear that? So it's not that easy to hook them back up, you know. And so, but it's cool. I like having the paddle park. I'll leave it like that. I'll just keep it like that, and I need to duck down and roll along with it. So that's kind of the front. You've got these right here. These are for your rods, because you can hold 4 rods up front, which is really cool. So let's pull this back up so you guys can kind of see me again. Get back in the frame a little bit. So that's really cool. The other thing I want to say, and I want to cover this really quick, is that when you guys first get your kayaks, go over all your nuts and bolts and screws that are on the kayak, snug them all up, make sure everything's snug. I mean, I've had to do that on every kayak I got, make sure everything's done. The other thing you need to do with these Vibe kayaks, there's 3 hatches. There's a hatch here, there's this little hatch here, there's one under the seat, and there's one in the back. Take them off and look and make sure the gasket is there that's supposed to be there. That's very important with these Seaghosts, because a few of the first ones now were missing that gasket, and that's not cool. And it needs to be there because that's what keeps the water from going in. Now I'm going to show you what I did to the one underneath the hatch, because I'm anal and I want to make sure things are good, and I'm going to talk about those hatches and talk about some pros and cons as well. But we're going to just move down and kind of roll along. I'm going to pop this off of here maybe, so we can just kind of talk as I go. So we're going to move here. So now we're going to come down to here. You got your pod right here. This is super awesome. So if you guys want to hook up your electronics or whatever right here, you got this pod right here. This pod will pop right out. You can pull this out. You can take the box right with you. You know, it's got mounting screws right there on the bottom. See mounting screws right there on the bottom. For your trolling motor, your wires run right down through here. So that is really awesome for those of you that want to put your battery inside there, hook it up, and then For guys like me that are probably gonna end up just using it for storage, there's plenty of room in there. You guys look, plenty of room for storage. So I'll probably throw baits and stuff in it. Because if I put a fish finder thing, I'm just gonna get a cell block and mount it on the side so I can move from one kayak to the other, so it's easier. But anyway, right here is where your VersaPod would go. But this is the regular. This is the one that comes with it, and then this is where your drive goes. Where your drive goes? Can you guys see? Your drive goes right here. So I'm gonna come down right here and show you so you guys can see a little better. So these turn and click. If I can get it turned. Click it like that. Like that. Click this like this. Pop this out. Drop your pod in. Drop your drive in. Go to town. I do have the drive. It's just in the house. I forgot to bring it out here when I started to do this. There's also a gasket around this as well. So make sure your gasket's there, because that keeps it from leaking. One of the things that I checked, I was looking for pitting and pores, and there's a couple little ones here, but it didn't look too bad in here. So that's why I accepted it. There was a few. So anyway, what I was saying is you got to check in here. You'll get a little bit of pitting in here, and I've got a couple little spots right here and right there, but it didn't look that bad. So I accepted the kayak. I ran my hand over it. It didn't look bad. So I said everything looked pretty good in here, but it's important to check this stuff when you're getting your kayak. It gets kind of porous, you know. So hopefully mine will be good. We'll find out when I get on the water. But that's that. That's one of the things I checked. It looked good, so I rolled with it. Close this up. Now, one of the things I want to say too is that, like I said, I checked all my. See, I got screws like. The other thing is nice, this comes with deck padding already, so the deck padding's already on here, which is super nice. And then you come back to your chair. Your chair is adjustable. You slide it back and forth, whichever way you want to go. Then you got a super nice tray right here. Got little bungees on it, so you just unbungee your bungee. I got the net on it, and then you can get to your stuff. I love the tray. The tray is awesome. So I think I'm going to put you guys back on the camera mount though, and then work my way down. Hopefully you'll be able to hear me. So I'm going to move down here a little bit, move the camera down, see if you guys can see me a little better that way. There we go. It's hot. Woo, hot. Stepping out of the camera, wiping my eyes off. So anyway, chair is super nice. It's got little knobs on the side that you turn, so you can slide it up and back. Adjust where you need to do if you're using your pedal drive. Do your whole deal, and you're good to go. And then tighten it down. And then the chair has different levels of sitting. So it's in the high position right now and stuff, but you can drop it down into a lower position. And you take the seat out. I've got the bungee hook to it though. You can drop this down like this, and you take your seat and put it down there, and you can set it in low position like that, and you can lock it in, and that will give you a better center of gravity for those of you like me that have terrible balance and can't do it. So that's cool. So, but we'll put it back up in high position real quick. Down, put that up, and there we go. So I haven't sat in this thing yet because I've had it up on this bench, but I'm gonna sit in it once I get it down. But so that's that. The chair looks so much more comfortable than, it's got padding in it, and it looks even more comfortable than the ones that are in the Seaghost, which is really cool. That's awesome. So you got standing platforms right here, so you can stand up on those platforms if you want to. I won't be doing that. I do have the perch. There's a perch platform that goes on the back of this seat. I do have that coming. It was supposed to come with the kayak. It didn't. So was my VersaPod, but I don't know why it wasn't with it. But I called Vibe, and they're already on it, trying to get figured out and get me one sent to me. So that's cool. So you got Scupper Plugs. It comes with Scupper Plugs. That's cool. I'm gonna pull all my Scupper Plugs out. I usually take them all out so the kayak can just flush. Because I don't fish in the wintertime, so I don't need to worry about it. I'm getting cold when the water's splashing on me, so it's cool. Got these super nice handles. I mean, the handles are awesome. And then you got a spot, like you can run your, right here, on the side rails. You can run two rods on this side and 2 rods on that side, and then this bungees over and holds your rods in place, and you got a back bungee here to hold that back one in place as well. So pretty cool about that. And then when you guys get down here to the back end, you got tackle storage. You can fit 2 3600s on each side, so that gives you, you know, 4 3600 tackle boxes that you can put on both sides, which is super awesome as well. Can't really go wrong with that. So that's pretty cool. Then we're gonna move on back. Grab the camera here. Move on back to the back here, so you guys can kind of see that right there. So as you get to the back, like I said, you got your tackle storage. Then you got 4 rod holders. You got 2 on this side, 2 on that side. 2 scupper holes back here. I like the new bungee system, the way they did it this way with these clips. These clips are super cool. That works really great because the way I have my crate kayak set up, this is going to be awesome for that. But I like this clip system better. I think that's cool. Really awesome. You can rig it up any way you want. And then you got your back plate back here. And then here you got the gravity drive. So this gravity drive, when you release it, it goes plink like that. So you pull it up, and it goes back down. Pull it up, it goes back down. So you're gonna, when you pull it up with your rope and stuff, it's supposed to go back down. One thing I've learned already about this is that when you pull it up by the rope, it's gonna have to get a little wear in there. Because when you first do it, you pull it up, and tie it off. There you go, just doing it now. But if I pull it up too hard, now it's going to make me a liar. Oh, there you go. If I pull it up too hard, it'll kind of hang, and you can jiggle it, do your rope a little bit, and then it'll go. So you can work it with the rope and make it go and get it to drop. But and then when you pull it up, you just clip it in there like that, and then it will stay up. But if you want to drop it down, like right now, see how I dropped it and it's not going? I got to pull on the rope a little bit, kind of play with it a little bit, and then just bloop in the water. So that's nice. It does work. Sometimes you have to finagle with it a little bit. I skipped this though. This is the handle right here. Forgot the handle. So anyway, that steers. Works really good. Now I want to tell you something about this handle while we're sitting here talking about it. So on the handle, when you're rigging this up, so the handle, let's go back down here. I'm jumping around, I know. So this handle has a little adjustment on the side right here. This little knob right here, if you turn it tighter, it'll make it tighter. You turn it loose, it'll make it. I have it kind of set at a medium setting, so it's easy to move, but it's not so loose that if the wind's blowing, it can blow it around. So that's how I have it right here. I have it set like that. Now, let's talk about this though. This handle, when you guys are installing it, if you don't get it installed at the place shop where you pick it up and you're installing it, you need to pull the strings when you adjust that handle really, really tight. Because I first put it on there and I just pulled it to where I felt it a little snug, rigged it up and everything, and then once I started turning it, there was a bunch of play in the wheel where you see the string down here. You will see the string popping up. And that's not what you want. You want it to be like it is now, where when I'm turning it, you don't see any play coming up in there. So I had to retie it. I had to do it twice to get it snug enough to where now it's working perfectly and stuff. But make sure when you guys are putting that on there that you snug it up. Now, I kind of figured this out, how to put this on. It's not complicated, but I tried to look up a couple videos and I didn't really find anything. I think Vibe does have a video on their site about doing it. Don't quote me on that, but it's not hard to do. It's not hard to do, and maybe I'll make a video about that later, but I'm just kind of going through the kayak right now because I want to get to a couple, the things I like and things I don't like, and just kind of go through it. So then anyway, as you move back here, like I said, you got the gravity rudder, and then you got all kinds of places to mount power poles. They already have the screws right there already put in there, which is awesome. So you're not drilling any holes in your kayaks, which is phenomenal. And then the other cool thing is that, bring this camera around here a little bit more. The other cool thing is that Vibe actually has handles on both sides. There's a lip right there that you can grab, on top of the fact that there's a handle back here. So I'll show you guys. So come around here, you can see that there's a handle right here, but then we've got handles on the side as well, which is awesome. So that's really cool. Come back through on the other side just to kind of give you a thing of what it looks like over here on this side. You have to put these handles on, and then these little bungees go behind here. So when you guys are putting these together, when you're putting this together, the little bungee that holds your rods on goes behind the handle. So when you get this thing and you're like, what do? It goes behind the handle, and then the handle goes on over that and stuff, and it has little holes drilled in it so it'll hold it. Just so you know, just those little things that, you know, there's no directions. So you got it's kind of like you got to figure it out. But anyway, that's pretty much the quick rundown of the kayak. You know, pretty much the quick rundown. Oh yeah, and then you got your drain plug. Your drain plug is right there. So sorry about that. And this is a rear hatch. This is the rear hatch. So if you guys are wiring stuff or Bixby motors, whatever you're doing, you can get in there. Oh, I forgot to show you too. Got to come back here. Got to come back to the seat side. Got to come up. Sorry. Got to come back here. My camera's all twisted around now and just bobulated because I'm not sure what side I'm supposed to be on. So hold on a second. Bear with me, guys. Get a little bit straighter here on the mound here. All right, so I forgot to show you guys this. So if I can get over here, turn this up a little bit more so you guys can see. All right, so let me take this seat off. The other thing about the seat has a little back clip on it right here, and you clip it onto this back bar, and that way, if it falls off and you don't have these hooked up, you still got it hooked to your kayak, which is a big thing. And then that's something we're gonna talk about because that's something that I need to point out. Now, your tray drawer, if you just pull it hard, it'll just come right out. And then you have another hatch right here. Now let's talk about this hatch. So this hatch right here, this one right here, I siliconed it. All right, it has the rubber gasket in it, but I went ahead and put silicone around it here, and I siliconed on the top of the screws to make sure it's really silicone. So I'm going to kind of show you guys that so you can kind of see it. I wanted to make sure it was super sealed because I'm never going to need to get in there for anything, and because water flushes through there and comes around. Now they got grooves dug so it can flush out, but water can come through there. And so I wanted to make sure that was super sealed because when the people that were missing the gaskets on their kayaks, that was where they were getting, the water was leaking at. So that was not cool. So I wanted to point that out that, you know, for me, I put silicone, I pulled the screws out, put silicone down in the whole screw holes, then I silicone around the edge, and I silicone on the top of the screws, and then I put my screwdriver in there to make a spot so I can get back in there and get to the screws if I need to. But that is sealed, and I won't take that off unless I have to replace that gasket. That's me. You guys can do whatever you want. For me, I'm a better safe than sorry guy, and I wanted to make sure that was sealed up. So that's what I did on mine. When you guys put your tray back in, you just got to line up your little slots on both sides. And once you get it lined up, the tray goes right back in, and then you put your seat back on. So you got a bungee on the back now. Let's talk about all the things I like. All right, so I really love the way this kayak is designed. I love the way it looks. I love the seat. I love the way that's set up. I love the fact that I can change these out. I love the fact that I can have a pedal drive and stuff. And you know what? I'm gonna go get the pedal drive. Hold on a second. All right, so here's the X drive right here. This is the one that you're gonna get with your kayak if you get the drive. Here is the X drive pod. You need this to put yours in. So we're gonna do that real quick. So we're gonna camera down here, kind of show you guys how that works. So there's the pot I'm gonna take out. So we're just gonna pop this off, like so. Turn my knobs, pull this one out, throw it up there. We'll take this pod, pop it in. That's tight. That's snug. Alright, so that's pretty snug. That's in there. And then we're going to drop the drive in. Now there's two little clips here that lock it. So make sure your clips are back so you can drop the drive in. Then you drop the drive in, and then you want to make sure your drive's all the way down in there. There we go. Gotta make sure it's all the way in there. Then you lock it in place, and then boom, there you go. So that's it. So there's the drive with it in there, and then I'll have to sit on it kind of figure out what my feet are going to need to go. I tell you right now, that is too close, so I'm going to be back here somewhere, paddling away. So, but you can adjust the, squeeze these in right here. You can adjust the feet just by squeezing that lever. Right here, you push it out and you can squeeze it, and then you can adjust it to push them out like that and clip them in. So wherever you need it to be, you can adjust it. You know, I'm not sure where I'm going to need to be yet, because I've never fished with pedal drive. Right now I have them just clipped up kind of there. Kind of where I think I'm going to need to be. The nice thing is there's numbers on there too, so you can know if one's on 5, you put the other one on 5, blah, blah, blah. So there you guys go. That's what that looks like as well. And that was pretty easy. That's the first time I've ever put that in. I've never put it in before. So that was pretty easy, simple peasy. So yeah. There we go. So it's in there. So, and then this pod, if you're going to be fishing with your pedal drive, I would just leave that one at home. You know, if you're going to roll with pedal drive. I'm most likely on the lakes, I'll be using the pedal drive, and on the rivers, I'll just be putting that in. I'm going to try it both ways, though, and see what I like the best. I will say this kayak is heavy. I don't remember what the weight is, but it's way heavier than my Seaghost 130. It's a tank. It's definitely a tank. So, yeah. So, that is that. Now, let's talk about the rest of the stuff that I like. So, I like the fact that you can put rods on the side here. I think that's an awesome thing. For me, I usually don't fish more than 4 rods when I'm fishing in my kayak, so to be able to have a rod just right on the side rail and have it sitting there and just be able to bungee it over and have it, and then I can get it when I need it, that is awesome. You know, you can actually strap 2 rods on each side, which is really cool. I doubt I would do 2 rods on each side. I'd probably do 1 on each side and then have 2 in the rod holders in the back or something. That's how I would probably do it, but everybody's different. Everybody's going to do it. There's a lot of deck space. I like the fact that there's a lot of deck space. There's going to be room for my legs. I love the fact that there's a center console, because I like the center console on my Seaghost 30, but I hate it as well, because when I want to cross my legs or something, or you're trying to do a fish, what's nice about this, if I'm trying to do a fish in here with my catch board, I can actually lay them down on the deck here and have a better chance of keeping them in the boat instead of watching them flop out of the boat. Where on the Seaghost 130s, when you're laying it clear across and that fish jumps out off your board, your measuring board, he's back in the water. And I've had that happen several times in tournaments, and that's always a bummer. And we all have if we fish tournaments. But anyway, so I like that. I like the drawer. I love the drawer. I love having a pod up here. I like having extra storage for stuff. I like the fact this is a dry pod. So it's got a gasket in there as well. So I can put like my keys and my wallet and things like that in there, and it's going to be right in there, and that's where I'll just kind of keep that. And then I'll keep my baits and stuff that I like to have up front in this tray, so I can get to them. And I like that. I like the storage. I like having some storage, so I'm pretty happy about that. That's awesome. Like I said, the shapes, I love the handles. The handles are awesome. I think the seat is awesome. I think the seat's going to be super cool. I'm really excited about the pedal drive. We've wanted kayaks with pedal drives for a while. So, those of us that have the Seaghost always wanted to, you know, we're like, why can't we cut that center console out and put a pedal drive in there? So, those are the things that are really cool about this kayak. I love the design. I love the rear thing. I love the fact that you got storage. I love the fact that I can put my Vibe cooler in the back here, and I have room to put it in the back there, as well as my tackle crate. So, that's really cool as well. I mean, there's just a lot of room in this kayak. There's a lot of adjustability, a lot of functionality. And I think they thought it out, really trying to think of the things that everybody would like. On top of the fact that you can mount your Bixby on here, you can put a Bixby that have a mount that you can do the Bixby in the center, or you can mount it on the back. The rudder's already set up to just take a couple screws out, pull it off, pop the Bixby on, and go. That is another thing that's super awesome about this kayak. And this is just from what I see. I love the fact that it's got tracks everywhere. I will be running an anchor wizard on mine, so the fact that I can run it right down to there and have my anchor wizard working down there is awesome. So I like that. I love my anchor wizard. That's probably one of my favorite things to use when I'm fishing. Keeps me in place, especially on the river. I usually always like to run it to the back, so that is something that is really cool, and I'll be able to do. I don't really run electronics. I know a lot of people do, but I don't run electronics on my kayaks. I'm kayak fishing. I try to keep it simple, and I don't like having to take a ton of stuff, you know. And maybe I'll get to a point where I finally stick one on here, but for now, man, I'm doing fine without running electronics. You know, yeah, it's nice to see it, and I like electronics, don't get me wrong, I just don't want to deal with the battery and the hassle and stuff and the weight and having to juggle things back and forth. I just want to go fish, you know. That's it. Kind of stay off the electronics thing, but that's me. We all have our things that we like and we don't like when it comes to that stuff. And yeah. So there you go. I actually like this little mesh thing up front here too. I mean, I think that's kind of cool. I like the fact that there's some storage up there. The fact that they got the rod tip things is protected too. I think the platform, the standing platform on the sides here is cool. I like the fact that they already put deck padding on it, so you don't have to do it. For those of you that got super awesome balance, being able to stand up on your side rails is probably good for you, especially you guys that are fishing in the flats and stuff. That's a really cool thing. Right now, I don't know if I can think of too many other things off the top of my head. You know, that's about all I can think about. You know, I always love having a rudder, being able to utilize my rudder, so that's always a good thing. I'm probably going to use the steering rudder more than I'm going to use the foot pedals, but I do have the foot pedals set up as well. I don't use my rudder a whole lot unless it's windy, but if I'm using a pedal drive, I will be using the rudder. So that's that. I did notice that my adjustments are a hair off because of doing that, but that's okay. It'll be fine. It's all good. Anyway, it's all getting this set up and doing anything. So now let's talk about some of the things that I saw that I think are issues and can be issues. So one of the first things right out the gate that I noticed was on this chair. And we're going to talk about this chair. And I'm going to bring you guys right here. Let me grab the camera here. I'm going to show you. You see the clips? The little clips that we use to do this. Alright, so I don't know what just happened, but I'm back. Anyway, we're talking about the chair. This is one of my cons. Alright, now, these little clips right here, if you guys can see, these are the clips that hold your chair in, alright? You flip them up and down, alright? And that's awesome. That's cool, but my problem is they're very, see how I can flex that? They're not very robust. You have two of them, you have it for higher and lower position, but they're not super robust. So that's one of my first quirks, I guess you could say, is that they're not very robust. Now I'm gonna set you guys back up on the camera so I can talk on the tripod. So that was one of the first things I noticed, that it's awesome that we have those clips, but they're really flexible, and I can see them getting broken pretty quickly. And so I'm gonna figure out a way to do a bungee on the front so I can hook it to it. Like, I'm gonna figure out a way to hook a bungee that I can wrap around and then hook back, so when I have it up, so it's extra security for me. Now you do have like I said, there is a bungee on the back. If you guys come back here, you can see there's a there's a bungee clip. Had you guys in the air, there's a bungee clip right there that hooks on, that clips to the back. So if that failed, you're still gonna have your chair hooked on. But I flipped 2 kayaks, and so I know what a pain in the butt that is, and I don't want to lose my chair. I don't have to get another one, especially with as in demand as everything is right now. So that was one thing. So that's something that I'm going to keep an eye on, and I'm going to modify for my own thing. Now, the other thing that I noticed, those hatches, these hatches, the hatch here, the hatch underneath the seat, and the hatch in the back. All right, these. Do not crank those down super tight, because what I noticed and what happens is that you can snug them up to where it gets hand tight, but don't crank it down, because I like to crank things down and make sure it's super snug, especially when it has to do with making sure stuff's supposed to be sealed. I like to snug it up as much as possible. But that plastic, first of all, they drilled the holes a little bit bigger than they should have. All right, so the screw isn't catching that much, or they could have made the screw a little bit bigger, but the screw isn't catching that much of the plastic. So when you screw it down, the plastic is soft enough that you can literally screw through it and actually create a big hole, and it won't be catching anything. And I was tightening up the one on the underplate, because that was one I was more concerned about, was the one underneath the chair. And I was tightening up, and I noticed that it just wasn't snugging up like it should. And then I cranked it back out, and I was like, oh man, it's literally gonna, like that circle, it's just gonna pull it down and go like that. So snug it up, but don't crank it crazy, because you'll screw it right through it. And that is a concern, and that's something that I was like, I was like, the hole was bigger and it's bigger than it should be for the screw, and the plastic's not that thick there, and so it'll pull through. So just be aware of that, and that was one of the things that, you know, hopefully Vibe will address and make that a little bit sturdier plate, a little bit thicker, so you can snug that down so that gasket really seals underneath there. So that's why I went crazy with the silicone with the one underneath the seat, just to be on the safe side. Now, I think it'll be fine because I have all my gaskets and I snugged them down. I think everything's going to be good, but it's just something to look out for. And I noticed when I took them all off, I only silicone them, but I took them all off. Even at the factory, when they snugged them down, they had pulled down a little bit, you know. And so you got to be cautious of that. So I made sure I checked all the gaskets, made sure everything's there, and just snugged them back up, but didn't crazy cranking it down and stuff. So be careful with that, because you got to remember, these are plastic. So just one thing to think about. But that was another thing that was kind of a hopefully we can make those plates a little bit sturdier, and hopefully we can fix that, you know. I don't think that's a big deal, but I do think it's something that hopefully Vibe, you know, don't drill such a big hole. Make sure it's just the size of the screw instead of like, it could be, you could put a screw a lot bigger in that hole that they drilled in the plate. And I think if there was, the hole was a little bit smaller, it would make a difference as well, and how much better it would grab when you're tightening it down. You know, that's just me, and I'm just pointing it out. You know, this is just things I noticed, and so that's one of the things that I noticed, and I wanted to address it and stuff. The other thing, these little knobs right here, the knobs that snug up your pedal drive, these knobs, all right, they work good and everything, but the one thing that I noticed, and I don't know if you guys can see it, and hopefully they'll address this on the newer models. Let's see if you guys can see right here. They're raised up. I don't know if you can see that one over there. Can you see that, how it kind of sits up? Hopefully, let me see if I can show you guys. See how it's really hard to get an angle on it. Maybe I can get it here. But you can see how it kind of lifts up. So the pod sits up a little high. Now, I get it. You got a gasket seal there, you got a gasket seal underneath this, so you're trying to make sure it's snug, but I'm pretty sure we can make that to where those click flush on the next generation, you know. Just something, just a suggestion, Vibe, just saying, hey, love you guys, love your kayaks, you know I do, but just something I noticed that, you know, the rear one, this one actually is pretty darn flush, but the two front ones, they kind of canter up a little bit once you click it on there, and you know, maybe I'll be able to snug those down over time as things seat. I don't know, but it's just something I noticed at the first part of doing this video. And sorry about all the traffic, guys, but I'm doing this out in my front yard. So it was one of the things I noticed, and I was like, you know, we should be able to have that flush and this go down and that click over flush, and then, yeah, it should be snug, but I don't think it should quite point up quite as much, but that's my personal opinion. But I'm just pointing those out. So hey, Josh and Miriam, you know, these are my critiques of this right now. I don't love this kayak, because I do. I think it's awesome. I'm excited to have it, but I'm just pointing out some things maybe that when you guys make the Gen 2s, little adjustments that can be made on these kayaks to make them better. So, and that's one of the things that, you know, when you guys are watching these videos, and when you guys are doing videos, don't be a horrible critic. Point out things and then make suggestions on how you think you might be able to make it better, to make the product better. Because one thing I do know about Vibe is that they listen. Do you remember on the Seaghost, first of all, you had the little seat cracking issue? Well, they addressed that and changed it in the mold on the new kayaks and stuff. So they addressed that. And then we made comments about how we didn't like it that the tackle boxes would kick under and they should have a little lip under there. Well, they fixed that too. So that's why we make these videos, to address these little things, and then they're going to make it up. And oh yeah, I forgot to tell you guys something. There's a little leash thing here that goes here too as well, that you hook up and you can have a stand assist leash, which I'll have to get as well. I got one that I made that I'll use for now, but I'll have to get the Vibe one. But anyway, so that was another thing I noticed, and just a suggestion, you know, try to get these to where they sit more flush. It's where the pods themselves sit a little more flush, so you can just click it over. I think that'll help with things. The other thing I noticed is, and I understand these are molds, there's a slight bit of play in the pod. But when you're doing these molds and stuff, that's going to happen. There's going to be a little bit of that here and there because these are roll removal kayaks and stuff. So that was one of the other things that I noticed. And so that was it's really not that big of a thing, but it's just something, you know, if there's a way to snug those up a little bit more maybe. It doesn't seem to be an issue, but there is a little bit of play in it. Not going to bother me. I think it's going to be fine. So what was the other thing? Yeah, I talked about the clips. I talked about the hatches. I don't think there wasn't really anything else, honestly, right out the gate. I think there's more pros than cons when I got it. Those were the two main things that I saw. You know, just looking at it. I haven't gotten it out on water to critique it any more than that. But the two things that were right off the bat when I got it was, you know, the hatches and the screws. You know, let's make sure that we can make that maybe a little bit stronger plastic for when you're screwing down, because I did notice that if you screw it too tight or you try to crank it down and snug it up, because you want that snug, because that's a point that water can get in, and even though you have a seal there, you want to be able to make that as snug as possible. But if you're tightening down on it and the screw's just going to pull through the plastic, that's not good. So we need to address that. So that's just one of the things that I pointed out. You know, just make sure you snug it, but don't crank on it. You know, snug it down, make sure it's good and snug, but don't crank on it. And then you guys can you can silicone it all if you want to. The only reason I didn't silicone the front and the back is that I want to be able to access that, and while I'm checking, I want to be able to check, you know, make sure that I'm not getting water in the hole and stuff, and just be able to look in there. It's easier to look in there and just trying to open a drain hole. I can pop the hatch and I can see if there's water in there or not. So that's why I didn't do it on there, but I definitely did it on the one underneath. But other than that, really excited about this kayak, man. I'm really excited. I think it's going to be an amazing kayak. I can't wait to get it on the water. I'm very excited about it. I can't wait to get my Versapod, because that Versapod is a pod where you can have storage in it, and I'll use the tar slot of that thing on the river because I love putting stuff up front. I don't like having to reach behind me because I've got back injuries, neck injuries, and shoulder injuries. It's really hard for me to do that, so I try to keep as much of it up front. It's another reason why I don't fish with tons of rods, because I can't be reaching behind me all the time. It's just hard on me. And I think this seat is going to be a lot more comfortable, and that's one of the reasons why I got this kayak, is because this kayak sits up higher than the Sea Ghost, and that's one of the reasons why I picked this kayak up, to be able to sit up a little higher and maybe be a little more comfortable. So, and I wanted to pedal drive, so pretty excited about that. So yeah, all in all, as an overhead view and stuff, I think this is a really great kayak. I think it's going to be an awesome kayak, and I'm excited to fish it. Like I said, I only found like 2 little quirks really that I wanted to point out, you know, and hopefully, you know, we can make a little bit more robust clips. Alright, as I was saying before my battery just abruptly died, is hopefully we can make a little bit more robust clips for these. There's room for it to make them thicker. I think that's all we really need to do, is make these thicker. Make them a little bit thicker, don't make them so thin, and so they can lock. And what I would do is I'd make, you know, keep this thin part that locks here, and then make it a little thicker where it gags here as well, you know. But thicken these up a little bit, and I think we'll be fine with those. If we thicken those up and then make those hatches a little bit thicker, and maybe not drill those holes quite as big when the screws go in, I think we'll be good, and those things won't be an issue as far as, you know, anymore. I think those will be good to go. And so those are my suggestions for the couple things that I think hopefully we can do on the Gen 2s and upgrade and maybe make the Gen 2s of these a little better, you know. I'm kind of stoked that I have a Gen 1. So maybe they'll increase in value because it's a Gen 1. It'll be a collector's item down the road. Yeah, right. You know, yeah. So anyway, but yeah, so that's pretty much my quick rundown. If I missed anything, I'm sorry. You know, I tried to kind of cover it as best I could. It's really hot, and I'm roasting out here, so I am going to get out of here. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the quick rundown. Hope you enjoyed my pros and a couple little cons that I pointed out, you know. And so as a guy that loves Vibe and just, you know, loves my Vibe kayaks and love Vibe and love the company, there's still always room for improvement. And so, you know, for me, those were my 2 suggestions that I noticed. This is a first look at this kayak, and my first 2 things that I noticed was, you know, we need to make the clips a little bit more robust, you know, and then address these hatches a little bit to where they're not, that screw can't be screwed all the way through, because I know some of you guys out there are going to try to snug that thing down, and you're going to screw it, and that plastic's going to go right through, and then it's not going to be holding right there, and that's going to cause an issue for leaking. And so, like I said, make sure you just snug it, and you'll be fine. And then you can silicone the tops of those too and stuff, and you can just pop the silicone out when you need to get to the screw if you want or whatever. But just snug it down, don't crank on it too hard, and you know, hopefully maybe they'll take some of my suggestions and you know, maybe next few molds. That's not really that complicated. All three of those plates are the same size, so it's really basically, you know, pretty simple to kind of fix that, you know, to where it fits better, because the screws work. They don't have to change anything other than don't put such a big hole in there for one thing, and make that plastic where that screw scrolls in a little bit thicker so we can snug it down, you know, so we don't have to worry about water getting in there. So that's just my suggestions. But other than that, I think this is an amazing kayak. I definitely recommend it for anybody. I'm gonna get it out on the water and really tell you my things, but that's my first impressions. So right now, I can say, hey, I think it's cool, and you ought to try it out. And I'm gonna get it on the water, and then I'm really gonna tell you what I think after I go do some fishing with it. So, and then I'll really hit up some reviews and let you guys know. I'm gonna be hopefully going to the river here in a couple weeks and getting down, but it's just been so hot, man. I don't even want to fish. It's so hot, you know. It's just like, I go out and you know, 10 minutes later, I feel like I jumped in the lake. So, yeah, so it's been tough. So anyway, real hot and humid where I live. So, hope you guys like this video. Hope it helps some of you guys out making decisions out there. You know, that's why I do these videos when it comes to doing stuff like this. And, you know, check out the Vibes. Vibe has a lot of great kayaks. I've had nothing but great success with them. And it's been a great company to have kayaks from, and it's also a great company to be a part of now. So I really love them. I think they're great people, and I think it's a great company to get stuff from, and I think they really try to take care of people and do the right thing. So, ooh, there's thunder. So yeah, with that being said and not doing that, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. So do me a favor, hit that like button, that subscribe button, that ding dong button, that share button, all those things you gotta do for YouTube, and then just do yourself a favor, get out there, get your lines wet, and catch some fish.